Hi. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody getting up to eat?
Thank you.
We're bringing the second truck around.
Round two.
Yeah, no? We're good? I'll call it that. When I first approached your ministry, I talked with Les. And anybody ever... The first impression I had with Les was he looked like a colonel.
Yeah.
You know? Exactly. He has that kind of gruff, stern-looking look at him, doesn't he? Anyway, I was sitting across from his desk, and I was trying to explain what our ministry does. And he pointed his finger at me. He said, "Michael, let me explain something about our program here. This is the only program that starts with Jesus, ends with Jesus, and in the middle, guess what? There be Jesus." Yeah. And he was saying that, and I had the impression he was saying that to think, if I didn't like it, I could go. And he wouldn't care, and I was very impressed by that. And he started explaining to me what you all do here, and I really felt like we wanted to bless you tonight. And we blessed you with some physical food, and I would try and bless you with some spiritual food, if that's okay. Is that all right? So, who's here thought so far that life's a little harder than you thought it was going to be when you started out? Right? A little bumps in the road? Okay. Who here has seen the movie Jaws? All right, seen Jaws. Okay, good. If you remember in the movie Jaws, there's this scene right after their first encounter with the shark on the ocean. And then it's at night, and Captain Quint and Hooper and Brody, they're all in the bottom of the boat in the galley, drinking, talking. Right, you know what I'm saying? And they're telling war stories, showing each other scars. Quint and Hooper, look what I got. I got this and I got this. Now, while they're doing that, Brody kind of looks at his appendix scar, and then he hides it. He hides it because he recognizes he was in the company of battle-tested warriors, and he felt like the lesser man. Didn't feel like he was qualified to bring up his wound. Very real way, I feel like that tonight. A few months ago, our fellowship of guys, we went up to the Tillicum Food Bank and we started giving out food for Christmas and Thanksgiving. We weren't doing a lot. We were just handing out food baskets. And Tillicum has the highest percentage drug addiction in the state of Washington, I believe, if not the nation. It's horrible. And these people were coming in and they were getting their baskets and they're getting their boxes and they're leaving, and I wanted to connect. But I couldn't figure out a way to connect. You're only together for a couple seconds. And then I thought, well, what would I say if I did connect? And I didn't have an answer. I didn't have an answer. I didn't like it. And it bothered me. But ever since then, I've been thinking, if I had the opportunity to speak to people in a community like that, what would I say? But right now, I got to tell you, I feel sort of like a milk bucket underneath a bowl, or a screen door on a submarine. I really feel out of place tonight. And the reason I feel out of place is because I'm not qualified to talk to you. I don't know anything about the effects of drug addiction. I have no experience with how it feels to be driven by the need for one more drink, one more high, one more. And I don't have any secondhand experience with this. My parents were not abusive to either themselves or to others. Me and my siblings and our families, we get together, we have good times, we stay connected. My wife is my first wife. My children, one of them is here where he is, huh? Scotty back there. My daughter, who's 20, have never been in any real serious trouble. And there haven't been any real dramatic crises in our life which have rocked us. So I have not traveled to the places you've traveled. And to be honest with you, I don't want to. I really don't want to go to the places you've been. And the places you've been seem to me like the surface of Mars. It's that far detached. I don't know what it's like. I hear stories and I've seen the effects from a distance of what can happen. But I'm very ignorant. I'm very unequipped to help you navigate any of that. So I'm not going to try to. I have my own wounds. I fought my own battles. I have my own scars. I've had my own pain, fear, and hopelessness. But in the company of you men, I feel like Brody. My scars, compared to all the battles you have fought, won, and lost, I come up short. So I've been asking myself and God, why put a burden on my heart to talk to a body like this? You're the experts and I'm the one who's in ignorance. Surely I have thought God has called the wrong minister. Not me, somebody else I think should be here. I don't know who, somebody. Somebody who's been there with you in the trenches where you have fought. But here I am. I'm just stepping out in faith that tonight God has a message to give you, even if it has to come from me. And in standing up here, I've come to understand that as alien as your world is to me, perhaps the world I live in is equally as alien to you. Maybe at least we have that in common. So let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for first of all giving us the opportunity to come together as men. Beaten up men, victorious men, hopeful men. All of us. Tonight, dear Father, as we go into your word, I ask that you would just protect me, guide me. Don't let me do anything stupid. Let me take seriously the opportunity you put in front of me to speak to these men. And I pray that if nobody benefits tonight but myself, well, if I need to learn something, then I'll just learn it. And dear God, just guide us and protect us. In Jesus' name, amen. When I counsel, and I do a lot of counseling, I do a lot of mentoring, I do a lot of team building. When I have to deal with people who are in crisis, my guide is the prophet Jeremiah. The prophet Jeremiah, at the time where the Jewish people were going into 70 years of captivity after being taken over by Babylon, Jeremiah writes a letter to these people that is so beautiful and is such a great example of how to do counseling. And Jeremiah, as you remember, preached for 20 years about rebellious hearts and begging people to turn back to God. 20 years of preaching and never got a single convert. Easy to think of yourself as a failure. But Jeremiah warned his people for 20 years of the cost of the rebellion against God, 20 years of preaching. But with all of his efforts, all the work he put into his ministry, he saw the fall of his people, the destruction of his temple, and his people marched off into captivity. I know everyone in this room, myself included, has had their own Jeremiah. That person who pleaded with you, begged you to turn away from all the things that were leading to your own captivity. And in seeing lives destroyed, surely people could have thought if they had done something more, if they'd have said the right words, if they'd have made the right gesture, if they'd have paid the right price, maybe that other person wouldn't have fallen. And I'm sure there are days where Jeremiah would have beat his fist against the wall and pleaded with God, why did they not listen to your warning? And if anybody ever had the right to say, I told you so, and to be vindictive and stand in their own self-righteousness, you would think Jeremiah had that right. But when his people were moving off into bondage, he didn't do that. He wrote a letter of love. First of all, he told them the truth. He said, things are bad. They're going to get worse. He didn't try to sugarcoat it. Didn't try and give them false promises. Things are bad. But he told them to keep living, even in the worst of times. To live, have families, have children. He also told them, don't make your problems worse. Don't rebel against Babylon. It's foolish. It's wasteful. And you're only going to make your situation worse. So keep living. Don't make it worse. Some of you have gone into your own dark places where your freedom and your options were few. And some of you have witnessed the death of friends, severed bonds with family. Some of you are restoring those bonds that may seem impossible. And some of the things you have lost may have seem like they're lost forever. But God's mercy is without end. But there are limits to human forgiveness and human tolerance. In some cases, the damages we have done in our lives truly are beyond our ability to heal. But I know this. Our God is the God of the resurrection. Our God is the God of the resurrection, and His ability to create new things and wonder-filled lives and futures is without limit. I believe your addictions are your own Babylon. Your addictions have taken you into captivity, but being here in this house, you are escaping that prison. When you are in your darkest moments, you have to make a choice. Will you become one with the darkness, or will you crawl back into the light? Your presence here in this house shows me and everybody else how far you have come. You've made new relationships. You are restoring others. You have come far, but the road calls you to go further. Jeremiah closes with a promise for a brighter day when God will restore His people, and he writes, "When 70 years are completed for Babylon, I will come to you and fulfill my good promise to bring you back to this place. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Then you will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you, and you will seek me and you will find me when you seek me with all your heart. I will be found by you, declares the Lord, and will bring you back from captivity. I will gather you from all the nations and the places where I have banished you, declares the Lord, and I will bring you back to the place from which I carried you into exile." He promises them a brighter day. And that's why I came here today. I can't talk about your problems. I'm not qualified. So I came here tonight to tell you what living my life looks like. My life is a life that's free of addictions. And I do this not to gloat, not to be self-righteous, but to give you hope of what's possible if you continue to struggle away from your old life and endure the fight, continue swimming upstream against your own past. I know it's not easy. I know there are days where it might not seem worth the effort, but I'm here to tell you tonight that it is. I go to sleep each night in a place where I am allowed to be. I have no fear that anybody is ever going to come wake me up, tell me to move along. It's my place, and I have control over who I share it with and how I use it. It's not fancy, it's not perfect, but it's my home. And I wake up each morning next to my wife, sometimes in her arms, where I can smell her hair, I can feel her warmth. Sometimes her feet are cold as ice. And sometimes her breath is as bad as mine. That don't matter because it's all her. She is the woman that God has called into my life, and I couldn't count the blessings that she's added to it. My daughter is 20 years old, my son is 17, and in the morning they're in their rooms asleep, safe and secure. They never have the anxiety of an abusive parent. They never wonder if today violence will touch them. They don't sleep with one ear open, listening for someone on the hunt to do harm. My house is simple, but it's solid. We have fresh water every day, clean clothes, food in the kitchen. We run out of food, we go shop and get some more and tell the kids stop eating so fast. We smile and we laugh a lot in our home. We hug and we kiss each other. And calls of "I love you" happen every day, multiple times a day. We don't only just love each other, we like each other. There's a difference. And when we leave for the day to go about our business, we all know at the end of the day we're coming back. We never think of any other possibility, but we will all be together in the evening. We have no experience with DEA, INS, CPS, any other initial from the government coming into our home. And with the exception of my son using a BB gun a few years ago, the police have never come to my front door. Had to throw that in for you, son. Grass has yard, flowers, the puppy runs around. We have parties with our friends who come and leave sober. Nothing gets broken. No one gets in a fight. And everybody looks forward to coming back again. We share our dreams, our worries, and our problems. We support each other because we could not think of doing anything else. We love and we share and we're tender to each other. And we really could never understand why anyone would want to live in any other way. We help our friends when they have need with our time and our money. We always wish we could do more, but we do what we can. We also have the respect of our community, our church, and each other. People wave to us, and they smile when we walk into a room. Sometimes friends calls us and sends letters telling us about the latest news in their life. Birthday parties and special occasions for friends seem to happen all the time. And we live in the company of happy people and strong fellowships. Maybe this sounds strange to you. Maybe it sounds as strange as your world seems to me. To me, it's the way life should be lived and can be lived for anybody who wants to choose it. My family is not made up of superhumans. We're not overly gifted. We have a lot of flaws. We can be selfish, we can be petty, and sometimes we can get mad at each other. We've had our problems, we've had our challenges, but we always come back together with forgiveness and love. You see, we are enjoying the prosperity and the peace which was passed to us by our parents. My mother was raised with an alcoholic who crawled out of World War II and into a bottle. And when I was a kid, to ease his pain, he put a bullet to his head. My mother comes from a lot of alcoholics in her family. But she made the choice to break the cycle so she would not pass that heritage on to her children. My mother carries scars a lot like yours that I don't. I know that not everybody escapes Babylon alive. Some die. Some choose to stay. And some forget who they were before they became captives. And perhaps for some, the best that they can do with their life is bless the next generation so they can do better. I am blessed. And I am passing this blessing to my children. It is not always easy, but it is always worth the effort. Excuse me. Got me, Greg. Okay. I weep sometimes. All the time, sir. All the time. I feel so very blessed tonight to come cook for you. Enjoy your fellowship. And I want to thank you for making me feel welcome in your home. And for taking the time today to hear what God asked me to give you. I'm very encouraged by the testimonies that I've heard here tonight. Where's Reggie? My man. Got my back, babe. I'm encouraged that all of you have made the choice to live a better life. And my prayer is that every single one of you in this room will have the blessing and the honor and the humility to stand in a place where I'm standing tonight and be somebody else's Jeremiah. And when you do, I hope you can stand with humility and admit that you only stand here by the grace of God. For it is Him that makes all things possible. I will pray for you often. I ask that you pray for each other constantly. And when you have time, you can pray for my family too. Amen? God bless you.